I must say, it was his initiative which later on became the role model for other private sector players.
And then he says, yes, this is very good, this is fantastic. Please give me a solution where we keep people out of hospitals.
Dr. Reddy, first of all, greetings from BW Healthcare World. Thank you so much for taking out time for us.
And I'm happy that you have come here to ask me, saying what is today's healthcare needs of people.
Absolutely,
But
sir.
that takes me back, and all the way from my childhood, where it was.
Right.
After my graduation, then as a doctor, that I must start from there. Then went to UK, then went to US. We did a prestigious, in Harvard, Mass General Hospital. I did my fellowship in cardiology. And one of those days, my father wrote on my birthday, saying that two of them are very happy on what I am doing there. Meaning saying that, every time I used to write, we're doing this, and my children are doing this, they were very happy. Frequently, I used to write letters. But on my birthday, he always writes a letter. And that year, when he wrote the letter in 69, when they wrote the letter, it was on my birthday, and saying that there are two of us who are feeling very happy with what you're doing, meaning my mom and him. But if you can do something for the people in the country and make them have all that be. So my wife immediately said, we must go back.
Okay. So that is how you decide to come back to India.
And my children were all below 12, so they couldn't protest, my 4 daughters. So we came back to India. When I came back, I settled in a private hospital. I was set up a cardiology practice. But this is, my practice was picking up well. But as a cardiologist, we have a limitation to some extent. We can treat a patient with, if he doesn't improve symptoms, when the disease is advanced, he needs surgical intervention.
Correct.
There was an acceptable surgical program at that time because the healthcare was far behind. Even, there were only a few intensive care units even for acute heart attacks, strokes, for all of these. So I set up one of those for the first time in the country, and it was busy. But as I said, whenever patient needed surgery, I used to send him. I sent many people, including our president and Prime Minister Narasimha Rao and all that, and many people to my good friend Dr. Denton Cooley in Houston. One of those days, I had a young man who died on November 9th, 79. He should have had a surgery in October. But unfortunately, he couldn't go to Houston because he couldn't raise $50,000. And when I saw him and his wife and 2 children, I thought, how many of people more going to die because they can't afford that $50,000, and why should they?
Right.
If Indian doctors, Indian technology, Indian scientists are doing phenomenal things overseas, why can't we do it back home?
Right.
I went to Apollo 30. I still recollect when Apollo 30 landed on the moon. My boss was the director of cardiology for the ISRO people. So when for the 28th day meeting Neil Armstrong, I thought I would also go. I went with him. I saw a number of people in the party, about 500 people, quite a few Indian scientists. I asked my boss, how come so many Indians are there? So he asked the director. The director said, about 40% are internationals. Out of that, 90% of my scientists are Indians.
Wow.
About that 40%.
Right.
So, and one of them gave me a type-in, which is both a transmitter and receiver. Today it's nothing, the technology, but on that day,
time it was something.
In 68, 69, and that's how I think I knew, even as a doctor, I was as good as anybody in the world, or even better than most of them.
Yes.
Even in that first hospital when I went, Worcester City Hospital, and the second year itself, they elected me as a senior resident, and they were very surprised. So they asked for a second interview, thinking that one of the local guys will be. Second interview again, they selected me. So this, if I can be what it is, there are so many Indians who are doing today outstandingly well. But at that time, I think it's nice. I recollect I told them, if Indians can do the same
the
or
moon.
better abroad, why can't they do here?
Correct.
But what it was is, it was fine till the 50s. Because there was no technology,
Right.
only people.
Yes.
And the Indian healthcare was the government and the social sector. They were doing well because all that they wanted was people. But when the technology came in, they couldn't invest.
Right.
So we fell behind for the 10 years. So this is where in the 60s, 60s and 70s, gradually the healthcare standards came down. They couldn't adapt the technology that was easily available.
Right.
This is where, and then healthcare was treated as no entity.
Correct.
Hotels could get advances and treated as industry. Airlines and is treated as industry.
Industry, but
Everything was the industry, but healthcare considered as not even a cigarette wala, beedi wala.
Right.
He will get a loan from bank, but a hospital couldn't get better loan than. This is where I realized what is needed is for the government to understand and to give a recognition for healthcare to enable us to build this.
how did you make that happen, sir? Because that is a time when India was. I don't think it was. They were, as a country, we were ready for taking this step because government always felt that healthcare was something which was a responsibility of the government.
Okay.
But how did you make this change happen?
I think it's good question, but I was only the instrument in the hands of Indian healthcare destiny. When I wanted this, then they said only places in Delhi which can do this. Delhi, I visited Delhi as a student, when I was in the college.
Yes, sir.
As a visitor. This time I wanted to go to see how I can get recognition for healthcare to get loans and treated on par. So I got onto the plane with I don't know whom to meet, but I went back. I said I will see what I can do to see, because in Delhi, to make them understand that this is very necessary for our people, our country and our people, and for their health and welfare. Healthcare should play an equal role. So I went there. Fortunately, I met Mr. Mupanar. He was our General Secretary of Congress, and Mr. Rao from Hyderabad, who two General Secretaries. So they told me, you come with me tomorrow to the darshan with Madam. So 6 o'clock I went there. 6:15 we were at the PM's residence. 6:30 she came, and they just introduced me. This is Prathap Reddy, who has come back from America. She nodded and went off. Second day she came and saw me. Third day, when she said, he has come again. I said, Madam, there are only few people, a small percentage of people who are rich and powerful who can get health care, but other people can't get it, and you must do something about it. She hardly listened, completely went off. The next day, I said, she came, oh, you want to meet me, is it? I said, I would like to explain, saying the importance of how Indian healthcare can improve for our people. So she nodded her head, and then R.K. Dhawan, who was the secretary, he said, you meet her at 11 o'clock today. So I went there and I poured out, saying, this is what it is. I've come back from US, they're doing ordinary things extraordinarily well, and most difficult things, they're doing ordinarily well. I think, and there are Indians who are participating, and I was there, and I could do as good as anybody else. I think what is needed is to give a recognition for healthcare, like what you have done for all other things. So she heard about it. Then immediately she called Krishna Rao Sahib, who was the private secretary to her. And he played a great role. He listened to me for 2 hours, the whole story of what it is and what we can do. He called the health secretary immediately and told the health secretary, you listen to him, bring a recommendation by the cabinet on Friday. So I went to him. He recommended, saying that the duty on health, any of the medical equipment, was 300%, treated as a luxury item.
Okay.
So he made it as a zero, and then some amount of patients would treat free to compensate for that. I finally agreed for that. Then he referred, Krishna referred to the finance minister. Mr. Venkatraman, who later became the president, he was the finance minister. He listened to me, and I have also known him because I've treated his brother at my private hospital before. So I knew him, so he was very considerate. He listened to the whole thing. I said, we must do something about it. So he consulted his secretaries and all that. They said, it's very difficult, you must pass a law, change the thing. Then they appointed IDBI. IDBI said, it's a very unique thing, we would like to fund it. And then Venkatraman was very happy. But down the line, one of the joint secretaries wrote down saying, this is not allowed. If our institutions fund healthcare, we will be liable for impeachment. It is not in that act.
Okay.
So he was very disappointed. And for me, very fortunately, Pranab Mukherjee became the finance minister. Pranab Mukherjee previously is helping me to give cement at government rate and steel at government rate.
Right.
So when he came, I told him, I said, now my whole project, I have no funding. I start. So he immediately called the Secretary Finance and told him, if you don't do this, you're going to prove that I'm not a useful finance minister of India. And then he said, what, sir? He said, if this is very sweet to the Prime Minister. He'll go to the Prime Minister and she'll sanction it. The Secretary grabbed my hand, took me to his room, and then wrote down, 6 banks will fund you 5 crores each. And then you can get your foreign exchange loan through one of the private equity foreign exchange. So that is the final thing. So we came back, and then the bank funded me 30 crores as a syndicate bank. Was and Indian Overseas Bank was the chairman of the group of 6 people.
Right.
And then one of the foreign loans I obtained. And things went on, of course. So I had problems with the local chief minister also, because they wanted that land to be given back.
Okay.
So anyway, I circumvented on it after 2 years, all problems I had. But finally, I think after all of this, September 18, 1983 is a landmark day for Indian healthcare.
Right.
Because that is the day when late President Jail Singh inaugurated Apollo. Actually, he had only 30 minutes program. Because he was very busy. He came to inaugurate the centenary of some ceremony in IIT.
Right.
He came for that. So his program was where he came. But he stayed 2 hours, 10 minutes.
Wow.
Because he went to the hospital, because he was one of those who had by dental query his heart surgery.
Correct.
He went on saying, oh, either hai, Houston man I hai, Houston, like that. He went on visiting the hospital itself 40 minutes. Then he came to the stage, he threw the speech off and spoke brilliantly well.
Extempore.
And then talked to people. I was so happy. I think that's marks, his blessing on that day. It's like a divine speech he gave.
Lovely.
And that's marked. Then I think it is 7,500 people I had that day when
when you inaugurated
750 people I had on that day when I inaugurated. It's a simple theory saying that we must all here to give best of our efforts to see that whatever challenge that we have, we know we can do it.
Right.
I said, and then touching lives is what I told them that day.
Awesome.
I think, I had good doctors like Dr. Girnath and Dr. Mani, senior doctors I have got. And I have a good MD, a professional MD. He was about to become Spencer's managing director. And I could convince him to join us. All that was difficult, but I think professionalism came in from Mr. Chako and who followed him.
Right.
And then we have with the top doctors that are there. And the whole story began. But it started, my intention was heart. But then I decided it is not only heart people are suffering from. There are major problems for which there was no healthcare facilities in India. And this is why from my heart I wanted it to become multi-specialty hospital.
Right.
So I had very good neurosurgeons who joined me, and then all other specialties. And we started on day one as a multi-specialty hospital. And for the first time, we imported all the equipment. First CT scan in the country was brought by Apollo Chennai. That time Apollo Madras.
Right.
Apollo Madras, the first CT scan. Today, there are a few thousands of CT scans. Apollo itself has got 50 to 60 CT scans. Similarly, all the equipment will come to MRI, and most, first proton in this part of the world, UK did not have. No proton in UK, no proton in Southeast Asia, no proton in Singapore, Australia, Middle East, Africa, nowhere. We were the first to start. Unfortunately, it took me 3 years to get the clearances, Government of India clearance, because it's a highly, radiation equipment. So, but immediately after that, COVID came. So that was a setback. But today it's full. So I'm now going to do 2 or 3 more protons. One in Hyderabad, one in Delhi. I've already finalized. Probably will do one in Bangalore too. But
But sir, Apollo now is doing a lot of expansion in allied areas, healthcare at home, proton therapies, pharmacy, diagnostics. How did you build and nurture this culture of innovating beyond just hospital?
I look back, because a patient sickness we will treat in the hospital, great surgeries we can do in the hospital, but ultimately it starts at his home, and what help that he needs there.
Correct.
It's a general physician who does it. How do I train the general physician to adapt, to give him the best possible care? How do I get how does he get access to health care?
Correct.
So all this was because along with the healthcare challenges are many. Today also we have huge challenges in China, but opportunities for the newer technologies that started. Like I said, CT scan.
Correct.
Today we are talking about artificial intelligence. We are doing robotic surgery.
Yes.
We've done the country's largest number of robotic surgery. We are using molecular biology and T cells, CAR T cells.
Yes.
All of this we're able to, but the moment it comes, we're able to adapt all of this. Similarly, I wanted to adapt, answer the problems of people at home and reaching their doctor, reaching the right institution for their care, and post-op care.
Correct.
One of the most important, many people ask me, how did you go into pharmacies? Because at that time, there were so many spurious drugs. When I started my practice in that private hospital, I used to import even the IV fluids from Singapore. Because even there was adulteration in those.
Yes.
All my medicines, heparin, I used to
Import.
bring in there. I have known people who had reactions with these spurious drugs. So similarly, I think whatever I experienced, I have built solutions for most of it, but it's not all. There's many more. I think the present generation and the future generation will answer. And fortunately for us, there are great strides that are happening. Like the other day, when our Prime Minister went to meet President Biden.
Yes.
And said, moon mission for cancer. I said, we must do a mission to the sun. How do you make a person healthy and a home, healthy and a happy home?
Correct.
This is 3 H's, healthy, happy home.
Yes.
I think that is my goal. And that's how I think all of it, for example, you asked me that question, how are you in that? I started with pharmacies. I started first 24 into 7.
Yes.
The 24 into 7 served the people in that COVID time.
Correct.
When people are panicked at home and stricken, they could lift the phone and call 24/7. 24/7 will connect them to a doctor. The doctor will listen to his symptoms and then say, I'll send a diagnostic person to a house. They collected the blood, tested. If the test was positive, depending on his symptoms, for the first time in the world, I had 3,000 hospital beds, but I had more hotel beds because all hotels are empty.
Correct.
So I took the hotels. So the doctors decided if the symptoms are minimal, they send them to hotel. There, my nurse was there, my home care person was there.
Right.
They will look after them, and the doctor will be available for them on phone.
That's a very innovative thinking, sir.
Innovative.
You know,
I called it Project Kavach.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, you know, it requires a lot of thinking out of the box, because you would always think that, you know, we should expand our hospital. How can I provide my services outside the hospital? So when you're talking about people and serving people, there's another aspect of people which is there, which is the people who are serving, the doctors. You know, what do you think worked at your personal level that led to building an institution today which has got so many people who are coming, joining in to serve the population?
I think the most important thing at Apollo is, or if I have done that, to say that whatever we are using, you know, whatever God that we believe in, He has left with us with this tremendous amount of mental power. We are using so little of it.
Right.
If you increase it by 1%, 2%, you can perform outstanding things. So I think that's all that I have served. And each one, it is not just my doctor who made Apollo, it is my nurses who made a significant effect. It's my backup technologists who made outstandingly well. You know, today, talking about technology, the world needs our echocardiography technologies. You know, they want immediately so many people. All that is possible. An ordinary person today, imagine that echo, in the beginning, echo was done only by a cardiologist.
Right.
You know, cardiologists stand behind now. The technologist does everything and he just interprets that.
Correct.
So I think this is what did I do? I did nothing. I said, you have all that power within you. Bring it out and face it. I think now they are doing it. I'm getting some credit to it. But it's not me. It is my doctor, my nurse, my technology, in all of these. And most importantly, I think the people who receive this care, it is they who spread. It is they who give that, you know, that energy for people. And I talked about Mrs. Gandhi and
Gyanizar Singh.
Rao Sahib, Krisham. But actually, Chennai was done only as a single hospital. If today, whatever you see in India, Indian healthcare, there are about 76 Apollo hospitals, and there are another 300 good hospitals in the country. That is what we are proud of.
Correct.
All this happened not because of that first thing. First thing was only for Chennai. But for the act was changed during the next Prime Minister's thing. And when he was also the finance minister, he called me one day and said, whatever you are suggesting, I am now passing it in the parliament. Do you want to come? So I went there. He passed saying, you know, healthcare will always be treated like other industry. And then, so in financial institutions can fund the hospitals.
Right.
So the first institution which funded my second hospital, Hyderabad, is ICICI.
Right.
So on my anniversary, whoever is the ICICI, that time, of course, the late Mr. Vogel, great person. I think his contribution to the nation is tremendous. And then followed by Kamath and all of this. Whoever is the chairman, they get on my anniversary day, I was saying thank you for the first hospital you have funded. You know, today, every bank funds it.
It's a big opportunity for them.
And then FDI, first FDI came to me for my Delhi hospital.
Right.
Today, you know, FDI is playing a significant in Apollo, 46-47%
Right.
of the equity is held by foreign investors. So I think that is the pride that I am happy, which is stimulating more and more people to establish hospitals, and more importantly, to get into healthcare to make a significant impact for our people,
as
and
well
I
as
think for the rest of the world.
the rest of the
you
world
know,
as
I wrote a letter to our Prime Minister saying, today, about 1.5 years ago, I said, I'm so happy with whatever is happening. So I wrote to him saying, India is we are treating more than 150 people from other countries. I said, India now is ready to become global healthcare destination if you can follow these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 steps to make them understand.
What are the top 2 or 3 steps that we
The
should be
first
doing?
step is the awareness that Indian doctors, Indian healthcare today is perhaps, it's not equal. There are 4 C's that Apollo is known for. The clinical excellence, or outcomes and surgery, when talking about heart, because it started because of heart.
Yes.
We have done the largest number of heart surgeries in the world.
Correct.
And our outcomes are better than the best centers anywhere in the world.
Right.
Cleveland Clinic was known. I know very well how many times they are the best in the world. But today I'm very happy we joined the top institution in cardiology. In cardiology, we're doing everything in interventional cardiology, the TABI, the whole lot of programs, robotic cardiac surgery, minimal invasive surgery, robotic cardiac surgery. The other day we had a 84-year-old banker who came to us. We couldn't walk 4 steps. His lung was full, his heart couldn't function.
Right.
But on the 6th day, after all the tests, they did a robotic cardiac surgery and then fixed that valve with putting a valve through the vein. And 2 days later, he was perfectly all right. And the 21 members of the family was so happy. They said, what a thing, it's happening. I think this is happening so many people.
Right.
About a month ago, a patient who had a cardiac transplant from Minnesota, he came here. 15 years ago, 12 years ago, he had his cardiac surgery. He only reminded me 12 years. He came back and said, I just came to say hello to your doctors and to see where Apollo is. Today, I'm 10 years younger. I'm 10 times more richer than you.
Right.
I had my surgery 12 years. I said, you are a fool. If you are 12 years, you should be 12 years here, 12 times richer. So he was so happy. That is the spirit which made us do whatever we are doing. It is the patients who have given us that stimulus.
Correct.
And adaptation of technology. I think the government in many steps. So government immediately, Prime Minister made it saying, I won't call it global healthcare institution. I want to call it as Heal India, Heal by India.
Yeah.
I'll take all your steps. And he said, you know why? He said 750 BC, Susruta did the first cardiac first surgery and first technology. So I immediately agreed. So then the second thing I suggested was, there is a severe shortage of manpower around the world. Even in India there is a shortage, but in the world it's tremendous. In US especially, and UK, there are severe especially of doctors, nurses, technologists, the whole lot of it. Previously, when I was in UK and US, Irish nurses used to be everywhere. But today, Ireland wants 5,000 nurses.
Right.
Right. One of our nurses went to Ireland, even last week. So this is happening. So now Philippines, South Korea is selling as well.
Yes.
But they can't match this demand. There's a need for 8.5 million people by end of this decade for doctors, nurses, technologists, and all around the world. And who can do it? India can do, because we have nearly 30% of our population are in the age groups of 20-25. If you can make them do healthcare, become doctors, nurses, the technologists, like what I have started 3 medical colleges.
Yes.
I have one medical college in Hyderabad, one in Chittoor, my native district, one in UK, in Crewe.
Yes.
To train healthcare people. Already there were many institutions. Must give credit for the private, government institutions, the other social and private institutions. They have trained, and the government in 1 year they've already in India 110 additional nursing colleges have started.
Correct.
And more important is the medical college can take 250 people. The nursing colleges were only given 50 and 75 people.
Right.
Today they made it 250. Right. When that's implemented, automatically the number of nurses and more colleges, similarly more new colleges in this state 10 new medical colleges have staged up. In the country, there are another 50, 60 new colleges that happened in the last 1 year.
Correct.
I think this all will help us to build that workforce, and we call it a global workforce.
Right.
And today, global workforce was part of G2 when they came. And my youngest daughter, Sangeeta,
Yes.
she participated in that almost twice a week. And then my director of medical services in Delhi, Dr. Anupam Sibal,
Yes.
he almost 5 days a week he participated, and they brought out so many things how
Correct.
we can improve, and then how global workforce can make a difference for the various countries. And I'm happy they are not only charging ahead because we are able to adapt the technology.
Correct.
As I said, proton was one, but if there was a one about 2 years ago, there was a new technology called the ZAP for cancer
I just covered that in Delhi.
in Delhi.
The ZapX.
But that's the latest one.
Yes.
Actually, which would have been the 5th installation in the world.
Yes.
But again, they took another few months for clearances.
Clearance.
So we became 14th in the world. And this part of the world, including UK, doesn't have ZAP.
Correct.
So it's in an ordinary room like this. For a patient, what a difference it makes. And no radiation, no side effects.
Correct.
So that's the type of thing, adaptation of technology. But what we want is, I want India to become the innovation center. We must, like for example, the Prime Minister of UK once told John Major, told me one day, he said, Dr. Reddy, if your pharmacies did not produce the drugs and supply to us, our healthcare would have been broke.
Absolutely.
So this is what they've done in pharmaceutical, and this is what we have done in healthcare. Apollo is only one, but as I said today, so many other good hospital chains have come, and more important is the first get up thing is the general physician, GP and the small nursing homes. They are doing a great service.
Correct.
Because this is where the first immediately patient goes. So they are able to treat him. If he is not able to treat it, they are able to connect to that. Like for example, Apollo has got Apollo Connect program. And if you see our command station,
Yes.
it's probably one of the best in the world.
Absolutely, sir.
It's a command station. It will take up all in intensive care from any doctor, any nursing home which you attach to, they are able to
Remotely
give him
monitor also.
immediate answer.
Correct.
How we can handle that situation.
Yes.
And if it's necessary, they can send them to their own tertiary care institution.
Correct.
So such things, I think, adapt. That is what we have learned. Saying, I can do well, but I can do better by adapting what.
That's the attitude
done
that
by
I think
others.
we need to follow. And you were saying 4 C's, and one of them was the clinical outcomes, clinical excellence,
care and compassion,
care and compassion.
and cost benefit.
Okay.
See, in other part, in US thought, India is cheap.
Yes.
It's not cheap. I had started my heart surgery for $50,000. I had $5,000. Even today, my heart surgery costs $5,000
Right.
for a patient. But my outcome is better than my clinical excellence. My outcomes are better than the best centers in the world. But you can't buy care and compassion with $1 or a Jewish mark.
Right. So
Only Indians can give that, and Italians.
and that is where I want to get your experience, your observation about India medical practices. Sir, everybody talks about patient centricity.
Yeah.
But patient centricity does not just come with medical excellence. There's a lot of emotions, connect, like you said, empathy. What do you think is required as a balance between everything that a doctor does to build that patient centricity? Because there's a hospital, there's a doctor, there's a support staff which is there, there's a cost that is being paid. How do you build on to even create more patient centricity, which is perceived best by the patients?
I think it's in all of us. The care compassion is not something which you buy from outside. It is within us.
Yes.
Sometimes other things overtake us. The pride of, I'm a doctor, I'm a great guy. But what do you do when I go there? My first person is the watchman. He said good morning. I say good morning and shake hand with him or wish him. Similarly, for the technologists, with the lift boy, so they develop that saying.
Correct.
This is what we get and this is what we can give back. So that love and compassion comes back from us, and now they have multiplied it several times.
And do you think
So I think
Indians by nature and by society are
it is,
blessed?
it's there, it is in us.
Yes.
And they have proven it for ages. Somehow, in the transition, somehow something else took place. You know, I'm a rich guy, I'm a best person. But you must also think that you're an ordinary person, that you also have same compassion and care for others. So each one is doing this one. You know, as I said, if my technologies did not sterilize them properly, what is the use? How can the surgeon claim his success rate?
Correct.
So it goes back to him. You know, it goes back to the people who pack it. It goes back to the transport people who take it to the theater, and the theater technician, theater nurses, anesthetists, then the surgeon. See how many people are behind
Correct.
it. You know, so I think I made them realize that all of us are part of the whole program, and that's how I think everyone today Indian healthcare is proud of that, because you can't buy this in anywhere in the world.
So one burning question that is there today, and I want to really get your views based on the evolution of healthcare that you have seen. You know, people are not aware that healthcare delivery costs money. Just because you pay a very small amount of money in a government hospital does not mean that that is the cost of delivery. The cost of delivery is much higher, but somebody else is paying for it. This has created a lot of distrust in the system. What do you think we as an industry should be doing to address this so that people bring back that faith in the system? Because we've all seen, we've all heard the doctor say that if a patient has faith in the doctor, he will respond better. How can we bring back that faith, sir?
I think we had this before.
Yes.
And it's not what I created, Apollo created. I think the doctors in India, I still know when I came back, the general physicians, one of my classmates, he used to work till about 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, treating patients. That care and compassion that he gave, I don't think I have even a touch of it. That was there already. All that we need was people to realize at all levels that there's something more that we can give apart from what he has come for, and that is the care and compassion. That is why from day one I stressed it, and I'm happy that healthcare in India today is maintaining the same level, plus minus, but we are able to give from our heart. It must come out from the heart.
Correct.
It is not by teaching or this. That's what we are known for.
My last question to you, sir, is if you were to go back in time and, have an advice for the Dr. Prathap Reddy when he was starting his career, what would be your advice to him and every other doctor beginning his career? And is there something that you would probably do differently if you had the flexibility to go back a few decades?
I think adapt the best possible thing that's available for you, including like a cook. Who is making a meal for you, he learns whatever is available, new ingredient available, he is able to put it. So I think the healthcare people must learn what are the newer things that are available, which can make things more certainly better, but more simpler and more safe as far as the patient, and give best outcomes. I think that spirit must come into adaptation of technology. But this is not your last question. I must tell you the first thing. Apollo today is not just in curing people. We'll continue to care and bring the best of technology possible and bring more hospitals. We are building another 6 hospitals, about 2,000-3,000, 7 hospitals, I think, in the next couple of years. So that's one side. But I think our great focus is from day one. I started 1974. I started what's called the health checkup for screening people to avoid the risk of disease. Many patients used to come to me, and invariably they had the either hypertension or diabetes or stress, obesity, all such things. So I used to notice. My good friend, who was a very great friend of mine in Springfield, Missouri, a great pathologist, he came here to spend a week with me. So I told him, I said, David, look here, I'm having all my patients, this is back in 74. So I said, can't we have something to screen them first so that they can avoid this disease? So he said, there's nothing like it in the country, but in New York insurance company, they do some blood sugar and they do some weight and this. I said, no, I have all of these symptoms. I said, we should see if it's excluded, what happens to it. So we sat down for 1 hour, then prepared everything, called one of the printers, asked him. So we named it a Master Health Checkup, 1974.
Right.
It was in July, 74 July. So he took all this, he printed it. That evening I had 100 doctors to honor, in honor of my doctor friend from Springfield, Missouri. And the brochures were given to them. Next day, one of those doctors who were looking after TVS people, TVS Electronics, so he sent 2 patients next morning for the checkup.
Right.
So that we gave 10% TVS. Today, it's a multinational company, TVS.
Yes.
Even then, we give them 10% discount. I never give a discount in healthcare.
Right.
Because you should not discount. You should see. I should only add my love and affection.
Correct.
To the patient, but no discount.
Yes.
Because that's one other thing. They go and spend thousands of things for entertainment, going to picture, going to, today they're all going to Dubai, Singapore, everything. But they're not taking their checkup. If they only have the checkup, today we have, from that master checkup, we have Apollo Health Check. And we've done nearly 20 odd million people. And using artificial intelligence, our team, headed by Satya, she has now made it as what's called Apollo Pro Health.
Yes.
Apollo Pro Health is a 10-year health record of yours for a decade.
Yes.
But most important, it picks out the risk factors for heart disease, strokes, cancer, diabetes control and all of this, and then your obesity, and for mental illness, what can we do? So this, I think, is called non-communicable diseases.
Got it.
And that non-communicable diseases is a threat which is killing people nearly 70% today. And WHO in late previous decade, they declared saying, this decade, that is 21 to 30,
Yes.
80% of deaths will be non-communicable disease. That means 1 out of 4 people today are prone for this.
To
And
NCDs.
several million, I don't know, 26 or 27 million people are dying with this non-communicable diseases. I think all these are preventable. Your heart attacks, if I detect early, he need not have, he can avoid. And if it's an advanced plaque, they will do a plastic or even do a surgery and he's fine.
Right.
I had a plaque stent put in 12 years ago. I'm a hypertensive, diabetic. I look after all of this. I'm fine.
So
I
that's
think
a
this is
very beautiful
This
message.
is what is required in people.
Yes.
We can't be building more hospitals. We'll continue to build more hospitals because there will be sickness. But I think we need to build this so-called, I need, my health and happiness, and my home should be health and happy.
Correct.
So for that, I think
The 3H that you spoke of.
This is called Apollo Pro Health.
Yes.
And we have also a program called Apollo Zen. Apollo Zen goes one step behind, to the top.
Right.
Your gastric biome will tell you what you are prone for and all of the disease pattern. Your molecular thing, all of this done, and the whole body MRI is done, no radiation. This is called Apollo Zen.
Right.
Apollo Zen will give you a beautiful record. So I want everyone and his wife to have one, and his adult children to have.
Correct.
I did this first in my village. In my village I come from, that whole bundle for 45,000 people, I looked after them from first breath to the last breath. First breath means the moment the lady is pregnant, I take care of her, give her 2 meals a day, and then the delivery is done. I put a hospital, my father's name. The delivery is done there. So there are absolutely no infant mortality or maternal mortality. We did all this checkup 4 years ago. So we controlled all the diabetes. There's no heart attack there. There's no, even in COVID time, There were very few mortalities in that area. And then today, again, they're going back for this checkup. We did that. I think every company should do this. Every family should take care of it. We have 75,000 families in Apollo today. So I took to the board about 1.5 years ago, saying that for all our Apollo families, their spouses and their adult children should have a health checkup by Apollo. So the board asked me how many thousands of crores you are going to spend. I said, whose money I'm spending? This is the money that they have given us.
Yes.
And today, I'm happy to say, all those who had heart problems, they're all taken care of. They have put a stent, one or two had a surgery, and the cancers are removed, and no deaths from cancer. Of course, one doctor died of cancer, but no deaths from that
Have happened because
and
of
no heart attack and death from this one. Similarly, the diabetes all under control. And you can see their faces; they're more healthy and happy.
They're
So
happy.
I think they're happy. This is where I think this Apollo Zen will make that difference. Apollo Pro Health will make a difference. So I want everyone to now think, saying, it's not my sentence. It is McKinsey who said this. You must not think medical expenditure is an expenditure. You must think it's an investment into our health.
Absolutely.
And again, when I say health, I'm talking about health, happiness, and home.
Yes. Sir, I'm very tempted to ask you one more question, sir.
Please.
Because you spoke about, what you've done for Apollo and you were talking about TVS, a doctor, when he starts taking the responsibility of running an institution, there are skills beyond the medicine that he needs to bring to the table. To create an institution which is going to be sustainably, financially, as well as scaling up with adding more people, doing service, but while doing service, it has to keep its own strength to be able to do service. What are the skills that every CEO of a hospital, apart from medicine, should be learning or should be demonstrating?
First, you must think all the people who come here, I should think this one, whatever I do for my own family, I must do it for that patient. That feeling, I think, is most important. You should feel that and typically, even yesterday, there's one patient who gave the testimony saying, I came to Apollo, not only I got cured, but the way they looked after me. During COVID, one of the senior, singer, she said, your people looked after me so well and made me well. But I must tell you, they looked at me as though I'm their child. Right. She's a 42-year-old singer. She said they looked at me as though I'm their child. I think that is what it is. It is in all of us. Sometimes I think the other nasty things gets over us. You must control that thing and saying, I want to give the best for my family. I want to give the best for the people who come to me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think empathy is not just for a doctor. I think it is important to be empathetic as a human being to another fellow human being. What a beautiful message, sir. I really thank you from the bottom of my heart to have you take out time to meet with me. I feel blessed to be able to.
You're doing wonderful thing in business world.
Thank you so much, sir.
Continue the good work. So I think it's a wonderful thing that you do.
Thank you so much, sir.
From USA in 1982-83, he initiated setting up of the chain of the private sector hospital in India. In fact, it was very difficult due to the regulatory requirements, but he prevailed over that and he initiated what we call the Apollo healthcare sector in India. I must say, it was his initiative which later on became the role model for other private sector players.
Dr. Prathap Reddy, my father, there just multiple instances, and he is 91, but he's always 10 steps ahead.
Right.
So there are times when, and I have to say this, when we turned for just about 40, four of us went and we said, we've done this and we've done that. Just before 40, in fact, I think maybe it was a couple of years before 40, 30, around then, to say, we're going to be 40 and think strategy and stuff. And we said, we've done so many beds and we're going to double the number of beds, increase the network, go global. So, excited. We spoke and there were presentations and we said from a company perspective you will grow like this, and market cap, shareholder value, everything which we said to him, and we were very excited, we and the professional team. And then he looks at us and then he says, yes, this is very good, this is fantastic, please give me a solution where we keep people out of hospitals, where we can keep them health, because that is the responsibility we have, and that's a responsibility not only for our country, but for the world. And we need to think of answers and solutions for that. And look at the economic aspect of it, he truly is a visionary, is that what per family spend on healthcare sometimes just wipes everything out for them.
Right.
And if we can find a way to catch disease early, to intervene early, to keep them healthy and happy, to me that would probably be just the right thing for this birth.
Right.
So I think of late, that is the mantra which has been driving us and which inspires us every day. And all this is because of the single-minded thought that please keep people out of hospitals, please keep them healthy, because we owe it to them, that's our karma to keep people
Correct.
healthy. So I think that's